Hare Krishna. Welcome everyone for the Sunday morning session on the science of self-realization. Before we begin a session, let's offer our prayers to Prabhupada and Lord Krishna. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Shri Shri Radha Vrindavan Chandrodaya ki Jai Shri Shri Nitai Gauranga ki Jai Srila Prabhupada ki Jai Jai Gaur Premanande. Welcome for the interesting session. We'll be continuing our discussion on a very wonderful topic which we began in our last week's session. The topic was build your nations on the spiritual platform, right? So this was actually a talk delivered by Srila Prabhupada in Nairobi University, wherein Prabhupada was giving out very simple principles and the values from the Vedic understanding to the university students at Nairobi. We will just have a short recap of what we understood so far, and we'll move forward with our today's presentation. Build your nations in the spiritual platform, part 2. And all these sessions are the inspiration of His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada, who has so mercifully given us his teachings in a recorded form, but we can access them and have complete benefit in our spiritual life every moment. So we have great sense of gratitude to Srila Prabhupada for all the wonderful contribution he has made. So in the previous session on the same topic, we had discussed, Prabhupada was mentioning about the purpose of Krishna consciousness movement. Prabhupada said the purpose of Krishna consciousness movement is to give the humanity the proper aim of life, the real meaning of life, right? And because the human life is so rare that after evolution of 84 lakh species of life, we get this human life. And if we don't utilize it properly, there's every chance of degradation of our human life again to lower life species. And Prabhupada was pointing out how every living entity, whether it is a beast or a bird or an animal or a plant, insect, all of them are actually spirit souls. And as spirit souls, we are taking different dresses amongst the 84 lakh different species of life. So all of us are actually spiritual particles, and which are having the living symptoms of life. And we are only taking on different curtains. As Prabhupada says, we have the gross body and the subtle body curtains in different life forms. And to recognize the spirit soul through our scientific method is not easy, because soul is so minute. It is said it is these Vedic literatures give us the dimension that if you take the tip of the air and divide it into 10,000 parts, one such part is the dimension of the soul, which means it is so minute. So the only way we can identify or recognize the soul is that if you see the difference between a living body and a dead body, what is the difference? A living body has all living symptoms. As soon as the soul is out of the body, the same body is not even answering or not even moving around. Right? So this is the way we can recognize the presence of soul. Right? There's some life symptom which was there in a person which is not there once he leaves the body. It is a very important way Prabhupada tells us how we recognize the soul within the body. And Prabhupada also told that this minute particle of soul is transferring from one body to another. It's called transmigration of the soul. It's like even our present body also. If you see in our present life also, if you see from very time we have taken birth up to the time we are now we are grown up, we have changed so many bodies. The soul is transmigrating from one body to another. Similarly, at the point of death, the soul takes one more body depending on the living entities' various actions in this life and the previous lives. So Prabhupada brings in the concept of spiritual evolution and Darwin's theory of evolution. Prabhupada says how the Darwin's theory of evolution is imperfect because they say that the life originated from a single molecule and single cell, and slowly it evolved, and we have complex organism called human. And after that, there's no explanation, which Prabhupada says is a partial explanation, not complete understanding. Whereas the Vedic literatures give spiritual evolution, wherein the living entities do evolve from aquatics to trees, trees to insects, insects to birds, birds to animals, then to humans. Like this, there's a gradual evolution. And when you come to human form, there is an opportunity for the human form of life to either elevate to the higher forms or degrade to, again, any of the 84 lakh species. So Prabhupada said, this is what it is: evolution of consciousness, basically. It's not simply changing bodies and evolving to a very complex organism. No, it's a very imperfect way of understanding. Now, Prabhupada is going to have furthermore wonderful principles being delineated in today's discussion. Let's move forward. Prabhupada is going to tell us the difference between material world and spiritual world. So, Prabhupada is telling, this human form of life actually means developed consciousness. Therefore, we should not waste our lives like cats, dogs, and hogs. That is the induction. Right? While describing the evolutionary aspect with regard to the modern day understanding of Darwin, wherein it is only said that, oh, we evolved a particular species of life and that's it. Well, there is no understanding of the spirit soul in that whole theory. Whereas the spiritual evolution, which is given in the Bhagavad Gita and Vedic scriptures, very clearly it is mentioned that when you get a human form of life, the consciousness is very developed. So we should not use our consciousness to behave like the lower life forms, like cats, dogs, and hogs. Because the consciousness evolvement has happened after many lifetimes. So don't waste our lives, Prabhupada says. Durlabham manusham janma. So, this is the point. Durlabham manusham janma means the human birth is very rare. Although this body is perishable, like a dog's or a cat's body, it is different in that it can attain the highest perfection in this life. Very nicely, one of the great devotees, Prahlad Maharaj, says, Adhruvam Arthadam, which means even though this body is temporary, any living entity's body in this world, material world, is temporary. Everybody has to leave this world one day. But especially in the human form of life, it is full of meaning because you can utilize this human form of life to attain the highest perfection. What is the highest perfection? To come out of this cycle of birth and death, repeated birth and death. This is possible in the human form of life only. No other life form it is possible. So this is what is the message Prabhupada is giving to the students at the Nairobi University. So we are part and parcel of God, but somehow or other we have fallen into this material existence. Now we have to evolve in such a way that we can go back home, back to Godhead. That is the highest perfection. Jesse. The highest perfection is to go back to spiritual world, which means once and for all ending this miserable situation of our life of repeated birth and death. Right? Somehow we have fallen in this material world. We have come to this material world. Actually, our existence is what? Spirit soul. Spirit soul is, as Prabhupada explained in the previous discussions, about the same topic. He said, it's like a particle of gold, having the same quality of gold in the whole gold mine. A drop of water in the ocean water has the same chemical composition as the whole ocean water. Similarly, we as part and parcel of God, we are also eternal, ever existing. But we have fallen into this material world somehow, and we have to evolve again to our original spiritual consciousness and go back to home, back to God. That is the highest perfection. So there's a wonderful information Krishna gives in Bhagavad Gita that there is actually another world, a spiritual world, as Bhagavad Gita states, Parastasmatu bhavonyo vyakto avyaktat sanatanaha. Yassa sarveshu bhuteshu nashyat suna vinashyati. Yet there is another nature which is eternal and is transcendental to this manifested and unmanifested matter. It is supreme and is never annihilated. When all in this world is annihilated, that part remains as it is. It's a very wonderful piece of information Krishna is giving, that this material world is repeatedly being created and annihilated, whereas there's a spiritual world, Sanatana world, which is eternal and transcendental, which is never destroyed or never subject to any annihilation. So, such a powerful piece of information that there is a world like that, and we all belong to that world. So, in this material nature, everything is created, it stays for some time, produces some byproducts, dwindles, and finally vanishes. In our experience of anything in the material world, it has a date of creation, and it stays for some time, right? And slowly it dwindles, and one day it again vanishes. Anything in the material world, you see, this is the transformations it goes through. Our bodies are created at a certain moment by sexual intercourse. There is an arrangement which the Lord has made, that when the male and female in any species of life, they unite by the arrangement of sexual intercourse, a body is developed. A spirit soul enters a specific type of a semen of a particular species of life of a male, and then injected into the womb of the female. There's a process, phenomena which Krishna has made. The semen of the father emulsifies and takes a pea form, and the living entity or soul takes shelter in that form. And because it takes shelter, it develops hands, legs, eyes, etc. Right? When the conception happens, the male injects the seed in the form of semen, and in the woman's female's body, there is development, emulsification. It means the ovary, the semen combine, and there is emulsification, and gradually the embryo develops. Right? The step-by-step development of embryo happens. Which means there's a phenomena which Krishna has made. Basically, Prabhupada is trying to tell that particle of the soul enters the semen, because of which there's a development. This development is complete in the 7th month, and in the 9th month, the human being comes out of the womb. There's a phenomena which is going on in the human society. It is because the soul is present, the child develops. If the soul is not present, there is no development, and the child is born dead. Right? Sometimes we hear that, oh, dead child is dead, because the soul at one point of time left the development. It was there for some time and it left. After that, the child did not grow. We can take this dead body and preserve it in chemicals, but it will not develop. Right? Many times in the medical colleges, there are laboratories wherein a dead fetus is kept in the preserved in the chemicals. It will not grow because there is no spirit soul in that particular body. Development means change of body. All of us have had baby bodies, but those bodies are no longer existing. Right? This is what we call development. From the emulsification of the semen and the ovary. It's from a pea form, short pea-like structure. It becomes big, 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 and so many things develop gradually, right? And that 9th month, the child comes out again. When it is out, it's alive and it grows from a small child, a boy and youth. Like this, the growth happens. So this is called development. And the body of a baby develops into the body of a child, and that body develops into the body of a girl. In case of a female, if you see, you can see this wonderful image. How the child develops into a girl, and the girl develops into a youth, and eventually into a middle-aged woman, and finally the body gradually dwindles into an old woman's body. Finally, the body completely vanishes. This is a life cycle which all of us are going through, right? The whole cosmic manifestation, the gigantic form of this material world, is also working according to this same process. It's like in our material bodies, what we have, it goes through this transformations of being born, growth, remaining for some time, producing byproducts, then dwindling, then finally vanishing. Similarly, the whole cosmic manifestation also has the same phenomena going on. It is created at a certain point, it develops, it is maintained. At a certain stage, it is dissolved. It is called Shrishti Sthiti Laya. Material world also has the similar phenomena going on. That is the nature of the material world. It is manifest at a certain interval, and again it vanishes. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Bhutva Bhutva Praliyate. Again and again, this whole material world which comes into being. Again, it is annihilated at the night of Brahma. Brahma, the creator of this world. During his daytime, the creation happens. During his nighttime, annihilation happens. Just see. Destruction happens. This is what is happening every day of Brahma, 24 hours. And we think, oh, our life is all very safe, secure, we are going on. Right? So, Prabhupada is going to tell us how the difference between the material world and spiritual world. We're in a material world wherein there is constant flux, constant changes going on. And we assume that nothing is going on. Whereas we as spirit souls, we belong to spiritual world, which is eternal, ever existing, and not destroyed. That's the point. The word bhava means nature. There is another nature which never dissolves, which is actually eternal, sanatana. That's what Krishna gave us the hint in one of the verses we just now discussed. As Jiva spirit souls, we are also eternal. Right? We know there is a spiritual world, eternal, ever existing. As spirit souls, we are also eternal. What does Bhagavad Gita say? Na jayate mriyate va kadachin nayam bhutva bhavita va na bhuyaha ajo nitya shashvatoyam purano na hanyate hanyamane sharire. Lord Krishna says, for the soul there is no birth, no death. Nor having once been, does he ever cease to be. He is unborn, eternal, ever existing, undying, and primeval. Let's see. Ajo nitya shashvatoyam purana. He is ajaha, unborn, nitya, eternal, and then shashvata, ever existing. So many adjectives Krishna is using for the nature of the soul. Ajo nitya shashvatoyam purana. Purana means very old. Age old times it is existing. How old? We don't know. When the body is dead, the soul doesn't die. It is existing forever. So, with this condition, with this difference between spiritual and material world, now Prabhupada is explaining how in the material world we are going through what is known as lamentation and hankering. And how to become free from this lamentation and hankering, Prabhupada explains. So we understood that spirit souls are eternal, It is unborn. It is ever existing. Ajo Nitya Shashvatoyam Purana. Similarly, God also is eternal. God has no birth or death. We spirit souls can have neither birth nor death. But because we think, our assumption is that I am this body. So when you say that I am this body has a date of birth. And it has date of death also. So we think that, or we have this conception, bodily conception of life, that, oh, we are born and we have to die. But as spirit souls, we don't have birth nor death. Na jayate, na mriyate. Such thinking is called maya or illusion. And as soon as we get out of this illusion of identifying the soul with the body, we attain the stage called Brahma Bhuta. Right now, we are in a stage called Jiva Bhuta. Jiva Bhuta means identifying ourselves with the body. When we start identifying with the soul, that is our identity. That is our actual, real spiritual existence. Then we understand that we are eternal. We are undying. That stage is called Brahma Bhuta stage. Right now, our stage is called Jiva Bhuta stage. So when one realizes Aham Brahmasmi, I am not this body, I am spirit soul, part and parcel of the Supreme Brahman, he attains what is called Brahman realization, called Aham Brahmasmi. Right? So Prabhupada is teaching very basic spiritual principles to the students of university at Nairobi. And this point has to be realized, that I am not this body, I am spirit soul. As spirit soul, I am part and parcel of Supreme Brahman. So this Brahman realization stage you have to come. Otherwise, you'll be in the bodily concept of life and go on suffering in the material world. We'll be hankering and lamenting for so many things in the material world. As soon as Brahman realization is attained, one becomes happy. The happy stage of our life is immediately manifested when we come to the Brahman stage. Right? Is this not a fact? If you understand clearly that you have no birth and death, that you are eternal, will you not become happy? Yes, certainly. Nobody wants to die. Nobody wants to go through all the sufferings in this body. Right? When you understand that there is no death for you, your life is eternal, definitely I'll be very happy. Right? So this is what all of us are hankering for actually. But this material life is making you give up this body, suffer in this material body, suffer in this world continuously. Thus, when one is Brahman realized, spiritually realized, he has no more to do with hankering or lamentation. Right? So this is a statement from Bhagavad Gita. Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma na sochati na kankshati. When you come to the stage of Brahman realization, which means that you understand that I am this spirit soul, I am not the body, and dedicate yourself to the service of the Supreme Lord, then you will not hanker for material things, nor you lament for things which you have lost in the material world. Because you know, I am actually spiritually realized personality. I'm a spiritual I'm a Brahman I'm a Brahman personality. This understanding you will get. The whole world is simply hankering and lamenting. Hankering for what they don't have as material necessities and lamenting for losing those necessities what they have. This is what is going on in the material world right now. The African people are now hankering to be like Europeans and Americans. The Europeans have lost their empire and now they're lamenting. So Prabhupada is giving a very practical instruction here because he's addressing students of university at Nairobi, which belongs to the African continent. So African people are hankering to be, I want to become like Europeans and Americans. But the Europeans, they have lost everything and they are lamenting. This is what has happened now. So in this way, one party is hankering, another is lamenting. This is the material world. Similarly, this material life is simply a combination of hankering and lamenting. We are hankering for those things that we do not possess, and we are lamenting for those things that we have lost. That is our material business. This is what is going on life after life in our different types of bodies. Especially in human form of life, we're doing this. We are hankering for those things which we don't have and lamenting for things we have lost. This is our material business. If you realize, however, that we are part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of God, Para-Brahman, and that we are Brahman, then we will transcend this hankering and lamenting. Right? When we understand that we are spirit soul, Brahman, and we are part and parcel of Para-Brahman, Supreme Lord, then there is no hankering lamentation, because the material world, we are always lacking something. Spiritual world, we have complete shelter of Krishna, who is the reservoir of everything. He will satisfy every need of ours without even our asking. That is the spiritual existence, right? It's like a child is automatically taken care of by the parents without even child asking for it. Right? So in that way, Prabhupada is coming to the original point which he began in his session, in the beginning of his session, lecture. Aim of human life. What is the aim of human life? That is our situation. As spirit souls, we are supposed to become Brahman realized. What is the aim of our human life? The so-called universal brotherhood or unity that the United Nations is trying to achieve is possible only when you come to the spiritual platform or Brahman realization. Right? On the bodily platform or on the distinction that I belong to this nation, you belong to this community, I belong to this sect or faith or color, creed, this is not going to give you the real universal brotherhood. Right? Because this always differences. Difference in terms of nationality, different in terms of the body color. So many aspects, developed countries, undeveloped countries, so many differences always. But as spirit soul, we are all same spiritual particle. We are having spiritual equality. That's the point. So only when you come to the spiritual platform or come to the platform of Brahman realization can this universal brotherhood is possible. So Prabhupada very nicely says that Brahman realization in that way is the aim of human life, which means we have to realize that we are spirit soul, part and parcel of Krishna, and we are supposed to engage our time and energy in Krishna's service. That is what is the aim of human life. That is called Brahman realization. One should not work like cats, dogs, and hawks. Very powerful instruction Prabhupada is giving. Simply, becoming busy, engaged in our human life like animals is not the purpose of our life. The hog is always very busy, day and night trying to find stool. And when he finds it, he eats it and becomes sexually agitated and has sex without discrimination. Right? Presently, Prabhupada is giving the analysis of the present day civilization, how it is going on. Work hard, earn a lot of money, and enjoy life. Enjoy life in a way of drinking, eating, intoxicating, and sex life. And when it comes to sex life, people are not having any discrimination. It is said that the hog, the pig, male pig, when it has eaten nicely a stool, it doesn't discriminate to which female it can mate with. It may be a female, may be a mother or a sister or a daughter, no discrimination. The human life has degraded to such a situation right now. So Prabhupada is telling, this is the degradation. We are supposed to become Brahman realized and give up all these aspects of, so-called animal type of life. Whereas the human life, you are trying to do this animal propensities of life. In human life, you're trying to follow the animal propensities of life. A hog will have sex with its mother or sister or anyone else. This is hawk's life. So we cannot imitate a hawk's life and tell ourselves as very civilized human beings. That is the thing which Prabhupada is going to tell us here. However, the scriptures indicate that the human form of life is not meant for working hard for sense gratification like cats, dogs, and hawks. When Prabhupada is addressing cats, dogs, hawks, doesn't mean Prabhupada is looking at these animals in a very or is demeaning them, or he is looking at them in an inferior way. No. The point is, as we were discussing in this session also many times, the previous session also, human life is endowed with developed consciousness, right? Advanced consciousness for a particular purpose. If we engage that developed consciousness for, again, the basic animal propensities of eating, sleeping, mating, defending, then what is the point? It's like you are using mobile to break some nuts. Mobile's purpose is not to break some nuts. It is meant to use for communication. Right? There are other stones or some hammer you can use to break the nuts. Likewise, human life, if you don't use it for the purpose for which it is meant for, that is what the whole subject matter is. The aim of human life, the real meaning of human life, is not to misuse it for any other purpose other than realizing yourself as spirit, soul, and acting on that platform. That is called Brahman realization. So this is what Prabhupada is saying to repeatedly, impress upon the students there. So the scriptures point out again and again that human life is not meant for working hard for sense gratification, like cats, dogs, and hawks. It is meant for realizing, I do not belong to this material world. I am spirit, soul, and I am eternal. But somehow or other, I have fallen into this conditioned life of birth, old age, disease, and death. So presently, our situation has become like this, right? We do not belong to the material world. Actually, I belong to the spiritual world, Sanatana world. And my nature is what? Ajo Nitya Shashvatoyam Purana. I am unborn, eternal, ever-existing, right? And I am primeval. But even then, I am subject to this repeated conditions of material conditions of birth, death, old age, disease, which means there's something I have not understood the purpose of life. I'm repeatedly being punished in this way. This should be the type of awakening in our human form of life. This human form of life is meant for making a solution to these four material miseries: birth, old age, disease, and death. Right? Human life is meant for this purpose, not to simply engage ourselves in the propensities of eating, sleeping, mating, defending, and aggrandizing it, or glamorizing it, or making it more extravagant. No. Oh, nicely I will eat. I will have sense gratification in this wonderful way. No, that's not the purpose. Human life is meant to solve these problems, four problems. That is the aim of human life. Just try to understand that human life is not meant for working hard, very hard, like dogs, hawks, and then having some sense gratification, then all of a sudden dying. Actually, if you analyze present day civilization, what are the people doing? They're all engaged in different occupations, different businesses, working very hard, earning money, lots of money, and they want to enjoy with that money what they have earned. They want to spend it for their sense gratification. That is what's going on now. But this is not the purpose of human life. Prabhupada very clearly says. The purpose of human life is to actually work on the spiritual platform. Understanding that I am not this body, I am spirit, soul, and trying to realize that this type of human life, which we have got through evolutionary cycle of so many species of life, if we simply use it for the animal propensities, again will degrade, right? And life goes on. If we don't wake up and take up the spiritual life seriously, one day it will be too late. Death will overpower us. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Mrityu sarva haraschaham. When death comes, he takes away everything. Krishna comes as death, Kala. Everything is finished. It will be too late. So before that time of death comes, when it will come, we don't know. But we should be ready to face the death. That way, be prepared and don't simply lead a irresponsible life. That's what Prabhupada says. Repeatedly, he's been telling this whole discussions what we're having. So Prabhupada says, no university is imparting the knowledge of the soul. Because all of them, they want technical education to how to make a living, how to earn money, how to live a life. That's all. But they don't know what type of life you should live. The real purpose of life, they don't know. The aim of life, they don't know. So no university is imparting this knowledge of the soul. People who do not believe in the soul are in a most unfortunate condition. It's very striking statement. Right? Oh, I don't know, soul is there. Or I don't have faith that there is something called a soul. That is what you are. You are spirit soul. Which means you're in such an unfortunate condition. It's like you're having wealth within you, a lot of money within your pocket, but you're begging outside. Very unfortunate situation. That's what is going on now. They do not know where they come from, nor where they are going. Right? Totally ignorant about their real self. And they think, oh, life we have got, and just going on. What is the purpose of life? What is the goal in life? Nobody knows. Why they are here? Nobody knows. That is the irony in the present day situation. Knowledge of the soul is the most important knowledge, but it is not discussed in any university right now. Right? Everybody is given only technical knowledge. But what is the constitution of this body? What is the distinction between a dead body and a living body? Why is the body living? What is the condition of the body? And what is its value? These are very vital questions. This is called Brahma Jigyasa, which means inquiries or questions pertaining to about our own existence. What is this body made up of? What is that not there in the dead body, which is there in the spiritual, the living body? Why am I acting now as a living person? Right? What is actually this body? What is its actually value? All these questions and answers to these is what constitutes Brahma Jignasa. No one is presently studying these questions, but by this Krishna consciousness movement, we are trying to educate people so that they can understand that they are not these bodies, but are spirit souls. Repeatedly, Prabhupada is trying to impress upon everybody that we are not the body, we are spirit soul. We are not the body, we are spirit soul. This misidentification is the problem of every type in the material world. Right? This is the education which Prabhupada is trying to give to everyone. When you act on this understanding that I am spirit soul, that is called Brahman realization. Right? The business of human life is different from the business of cats and dogs. That is our message. Right? You cannot simply go on life like any other animal. We are supposed to have a very responsible life of spiritual cultivation, spiritual development, evolution of our consciousness to spiritual understanding. That is the purpose. Not simply, living an irresponsible and aimless life, purposeless life. That is the message which Prabhupada is trying to give us. We'll have one more session on this same topic to conclude what all Prabhupada has been. Further, Prabhupada is going to give some more wonderful instructions, and we'll conclude all the other topics we have covered in this 2 sessions, and then we will close the topic. So today, because it is going on YouTube directly, I request the audience who has watched this session to give their comments or questions in the comment box, and we will appropriately respond to your queries and the comments. Thank you, everybody. Jai Srila Prabhupada.